Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal International. We'll begin with our top stories. One person has died in Moyoka and at least two others are wounded in Tiko following two separate attacks recorded this Wednesday as the southwest region enters the 3 of the 14-day lockdown imposed by independent fighters. Confusion and the fear of the unknown have gripped inhabitants of BAMBOUTOS, west region of Cameroon, following the kidnapping of two secondary school girls in Galim. The students, the situation remains critical in this area where the population blocks the road connecting the west and northwest regions, demanding the release of their children. And the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon have had their first major training session ahead of the crucial encounter against Burundi on September 12, counting the last qualifying match for the 2024 AFCON in Ivory Coast. Those are major stories. Details right now. Good evening once more. One person has died in Moyoka and two others are wounded in Tiko following two separate attacks recorded this Wednesday as the southwest region of Cameroon enters the 3 of the 14-day lockdown imposed by separatist fighters. Ines Ondwambala completes that story.
Separatist fighters have imposed a 14-day lockdown in the English-speaking part of Cameroon. The move has paralyzed schools and other activities, mostly in rural areas. Major streets of some neighborhoods have remained deserted. It is the case of Moyoka subdivision, which has recorded a separatist fighters' attack. One person died this Wednesday in Yoke, following an exchange of gunshots between independent forces and separatist fighters. This woman died while her husband and 2-year kids were standing on the veranda during the attack escaped. In Tiko subdivision, some Cameroon Development Corporation field workers are currently receiving medical attention after their hands and fingers were chopped off by separatist fighters. Atrocity condemned by the population, who says they have had enough of this crisis for the past 6 years, has been affecting them both physically and psychologically.
And the news went wild like a bush fire. But Eric Tato, one of the front lines of the Ambazonian cause, has been arrested, and as many contemplate whether or not his arrest is connected with the Ambazonian or separatist activities, Cajun Henry Atembe trying to clear the dust. His story.
The arrest of pro-Ambazonian separatist propagandist Eric Tato and his subsequent indictment by the Maryland state has gone wild across media space in Cameroon. Many have saluted the arrest of Eric Tato, attributing it to his role in fanning the flames of separatist movement in Cameroon. However, Canal International contacted barrister Emmanuel Salai, who has been pressing many times for Eric's arrest and his involvement in the Ambazonian cause, to clear the dust on why Eric Tato was arrested this time around.
This current arrest is essentially on his bank fraud complaint, and also because of the fact that he intimidated a witness. However, as the complaint notes, he has several other ongoing criminal investigations with several different agencies.
However, the charge brought against the CEO of the National Telegraph LCC is hinged on his suspected involvement in defrauding the United States of COVID-19 phone that was put at the disposal of small businesses to cushion the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. From the indictment, Eric Tato is pursued for defrauding $163,000 in a scam scheme since 2022. And according to Kiel Zegragin, Special Agent Homeland Security Investigation, Eric Tato is known to have tampering with the witness with intention to influence the testimony of witness before the grand jury. It must be noted that the Federal Bureau of Investigation is known to have raided the home of Eric Tato, questioned him for hours for his suspected involvement in acts of financial crimes. Whether or not the other complaints about his involvement in the Ambazonan cause will be heard is another story.
Confusion and the fear of the known have gripped inhabitants of BAMBOUTOS west region of Cameroon following the kidnapping of two secondary school girls in Galim. The situation remains critical in this area where the population blocked the main roads linking or connecting the west and northwest regions, demanding the release of their children. More with our reporter Saleh Sharifa.
May Selikan Manji Brenda, between 15 and 20 years old in second and final class at GBHS Birmingham, were kidnapped 3 days ago. They were kidnapped last weekend by suspected separatists coming from the neighboring northwest region. Security sources say the two girls were abducted by unidentified armed men on the night of Saturday, September 2.
They were 6 armed men. Since the compound is large, they divided themselves into groups. Some were doing the patrol outside, while others went inside the room where the children were sleeping. Since it was around 9 p.m. in the room, they pointed at the girls they have kidnapped, and with fear, they followed them.
In response, the population of the locality decided to block traffic circulation on the section of the road linking Awi in the northwest region and Birmingham in the BAMBOUTOS. They are demanding the release of the two young girls. Administrative authorities were on the field to calm the irate population.
From what we have got, the kidnappers are demanding for a sum of 5 million francs. They have even gone far as requesting that we supply them arms. It has never been seen anywhere that the Republic supplies ammunition to kidnappers.
Report says a commission comprising traditional leaders from Birmingham and Awing will be set up to find a peaceful solution to the matter.
I think the best option is to sit down with administrative authorities from both divisions so we dig out solutions that will last.
Another commission made up of officials of the two border districts, Galim and Santa, is expected to handle the issue, which many fear might lead to a conflict between residents of the two localities.
Over 8 days after they were declared missing, following or after their boat capsized at the water reservoir of the Nashtigal, families continue to mount a pressure on the rescue teams, at least for their bodies to be found amongst those who drowned in the river on board the boat is a student from IUT Douala, as we hear in the following story. Rescue team are back on the field to search for bodies of victims who drowned after a boat capsized at the Natigal Fall. This is a picture of one of the victims. He's called Laurent Nyama Mbom, a 20-year-old student of the School of Engineering, Douala, on an internship with the company working at the Natigal Dam. He is among the 2 persons who are still missing when their boat capsized at the water reservoir of the Natigal Dam on August 30. These are the last images that we received a few hours before their mission on water. All of them were putting on their life jackets. 5 of them were on board when it capsized. 3 were rescued and placed under intensive care in hospital, while the 2 others are still missing. The rescue teams resumed their search again this Wednesday morning, 8 days after the incidents occurred. They are working with assistance of companies like NHPC, CNC, EDF, the military, foresters, and the Malian fishermen. According to a source at the National Project Company, all financial and human resources are being exploited to find the missing workers. At the riverside, families are helpless and gradually losing hopes of seeing them alive. They continue to mount pressure with hopes of finding their corpses for a befitting burial. The new data market was on September 4, 2023, filled with disease that spilled from a fiscal suction truck as it was passing through the market. The traders complained that they lost almost all their goods that were exhibited as they were quoted with the disease. They have expressed concerns over the negligence by the workers who drained disease from the septic tanks. More with our reporter, Gladys Ambudiba.
Excrement that spills on the road and on goods exhibited at the new Dado market in Douala, Cameroon's economic city. This is from a fecal suction truck that had just sucked out fecal waste from a septic tank. The incident occurred on September 4, 2023 at 3 p.m. These ladies are among some of the traders who had their goods quoted by the disease.
We don't drink shit for here, we don't come. All my don't run go now, go. All my market team, 4 inside. I don't leave them for they go. All we for yes, so. All thing. Any man don't leave it on go back for us.
All we can go. Some chop where we be buying for picking them. Then that shit don't bring her all. The inter for them, that's one way we be put them for them. We don't throw away.
The stench from the sludge sent many traders packing before their usual closing hour for fear of being contaminated. This lady told Canal reporters that the smell from the waste left her vomiting for 2 days. According to the traders, the pipe that drains excrement unlocked from the waste tanker, spraying feces haphazardly. It was only 2 days later that council agents arrived at the market to disinfect the area. The market controller expressed regrets that if the traders had left the roadside to occupy stalls in the market, this would have been avoidable.
Le maire de la ville a prescrit une descente sur le terrain.
The mayor decided to send us a few to check out the area, identify and localize the truck and the perpetrators of the act, and equally to disinfect the area. This is to avoid cholera and other diseases which could be provoked by the fecal waste. The traders' wish is for the council to take care of a lady who got covered by the disease and who lost all her goods in the incident.
Moving or driving in Douala is a real headache for motorists and even pedestrians stuck daily in endless traffic jams. A nightmare that has been haunting inhabitants for years now, especially students that are just going or returning back to school. The traffic holdups in Douala have been blamed on the deplorable state of the roads. Huge traffic jams observed in Douala throughout the day is becoming unbearable to commuters and car owners. The situation is crucial during rush hours, and with school reopening, many people are trapped in long hours of traffic jam. The major cause of the traffic jam is a bad state of roads. We have difficulties circulating. Government should do something. The roads are really bad. We don't know what's happening in our country. The state of the roads is bad. There is no way in Douala that you can drive for a kilometer without coming across bad roads. This man says his job is at risk after being stuck in traffic for hours. I am on my way to work. Unfortunately, I am stuck on the spot for more than 30 minutes.
Avec l'état des routes dégradées, comme vous dites, on peut quitter Château-Ndokoti en 1h30.
Even the traffic police can't help the situation. It's sometimes tough to the extent that bikes can't meander their way through. In most neighborhoods, the unpaved roads, potholes, roadblocks, and abandoned works have further complicated the situation. Inhabitants have called on government to rehabilitate these roads, which is the only solution to the unbearable traffic holdup in Douala. And the rate of overloading on commercial motorbikes in Cameroon's economic city Douala is alarming. Parents still permit their children board on motorbikes to school. A campaign by the Ministry of Transport is on the way to that effect, urging pupils and students to be better late than never. Our reporter Gladys Ambo Tibang took pulse to the situation this morning. Her story.
A lady accompanying her 3 children to school on board a commercial motorbike Wednesday, September 6, 2023. It is a recurrent phenomenon during the academic year as 3 or sometimes 4 students and or pupils are transported to school on board these bikes during the morning rush hour. According to riders, overloading is a strategy to help reduce transport expenses, especially on long distances. When a passenger decides to take full load for a distance, he or she could share the transport fare with another passenger and take him or her to the desired destination. For example, for a distance that cost 400 CFA francs for just a passenger, I decide to take 2 passengers who will each pay 200 francs CFA. To these students who live at Ange Raphael neighborhood and schools at Government Bilingual Technical High School Bonamatumbe in the Douala 4 subdivision, it is risky transporting more than 2 passengers.
Early in the morning, I take Sokatio or cargo, drop me at Chateau, and then I take bike again. So for me now to take a bike because I'm already late. I don't always like taking bike more than 2 people because the road is first of all risky. There are many camions out there and other 70-seaters that may lead to accidents and many things. So to avoid those things, I prefer to take 2 people with the bike rider himself, not more than.
Apart from high speed, reckless driving and exaggerated overloading have always been the cause of several accidents. And as the new school year begins, pupils and students are now left at the mercy of these motorbikes that transport a majority of them to and from school.
And we now talk sports. The Indomitable Lions of Cameroon have had their first major training session ahead of the crucial encounter against Burundi on September 12, 2023, counting the last qualifying match for the 2024 AFCON build in Ivory Coast. The session at Ngwaikele Stadium was attended by thousands of fans who came to boost the morals of the Lions as they prepare for the decisive match. More
1 hour 30 minutes of training for Rigobert Song and his boys this Wednesday at Ngwaikele Military Stadium, with 20 players out of the 24 awaited actively taking part in the session. The different rubrics of the training, from warm-up, ball control, accurate passes, defensive and attacking tactics, highly animated. The atmosphere among the Lions and the technical staff quite serene as they express readiness towards the crucial encounter on September 12 at the Rumdaja Stadium in Garoua.
We are ready for this game, and you know that it's an important game for our country, and we will put all our strength together to bring the victories.
The atmosphere in the camp is very good. I think we're ready to fight for the country. I think we know we need to win this game. There's no other option. But I think the atmosphere is good. Everyone's together fighting for one cause. Everyone's ready.
But they are conscious of the fact that their opponent will not be an easy nut to crack.
Last year we played against Burundi. We know that it's a good team with good quality players. I think we have to do our game first of all, and then bring the points in Cameroon.
We know it's not going to be easy, but we're ready. We're ready for anything, and we're focusing on ourselves, and we're ready to give them a game.
Absent in today's preparation were Olivier Cham, Olivier Kemin and Carl Toko Ekambi, who all stayed at their Munji Complex base for fitness reasons, as well as Mumin Gamelo, who was still awaited in the Lions' Den. And thousands of fans came out to watch Andre Onana and teammates pouring out their support ahead of the decisive match against Burundi.
Thank you so much, Hyson Chan. That brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language on Canal, the International. Thanks so much for watching. And coming up next is the brief with Mathieu Fangwa. So we'll be back same time tomorrow. Good night.